In my 15 years as an oncologist, I've had to deliver devastating news to thousands of patients. But what breaks my heart most isn't just the diagnosis, it's when I realize that some of these cancers might have been preventable. Here's something you might not expect. Something as ordinary as burnt toast could be doing silent damage. You know that burnt toast most people just brush off? They'll scrape away the blackened bits and carry on like it's nothing. It's just burnt toast, they'll say. But what they don't realize is that those charred edges might be quietly increasing their cancer risk every single day. I'm not here to scare you, but I'm here to share something that shocked even me when I first learned about it. But how can something so common be so dangerous? There's a compound in foods you eat regularly that's been classified as a probable human carcinogen. And you're particularly vulnerable because your bodies have been exposed to these compounds for decades. Today, I'm going to reveal the surprising cancer-causing foods hiding in your kitchen, why they're especially dangerous as we age, and most importantly, the simple changes you can make starting today to protect yourself. Let me explain why that matters. Because some of these foods are hiding in your breakfast bowl or dinner plate right now. Burnt toast, oven chips, bacon sizzling, hot dogs, sausages, coffee beans roasting. Some of these foods will genuinely surprise you, so stick with me until the end. Hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell. I share evidence-based health tips specifically for seniors every week, and I don't want you to miss them. That hidden compound I mentioned earlier is called acrylamide, and chances are you've never heard of it, but you've definitely eaten it. It was practically invisible. Just one problem: it forms in the foods we eat all the time. Here's how it works. When you cook starchy foods like potatoes, bread, or cereals at high temperatures by baking, frying, roasting, or even toasting, a chemical reaction happens. The natural sugars and amino acids in these foods combine to create acrylamide. The darker and more burnt the food gets, the more acrylamide forms. Here's where it gets even sneakier. It's in the crispy things we crave most: chips, coffee, cereals, roasted potatoes. So we're not just talking about obviously burnt toast. We're talking about those perfectly crispy oven chips that you love, that dark roasted coffee you drink every morning, some breakfast cereals, and even those golden brown roasted potatoes at Sunday dinner. Now, here's what concerns me as an oncologist. The International Agency for Research on Cancer has classified acrylamide as a probable human carcinogen. This isn't just theory, it's backed by decades of research. In animal studies, acrylamide has been consistently linked to kidney cancer, ovarian cancer, and endometrial cancer. While we're still gathering human evidence, the animal data is compelling enough that cancer experts worldwide are urging caution. Think about it. How many times a week do you get foods that contain acrylamide? Toast for breakfast, coffee at lunch, chips for dinner. It all adds up. For many of my patients, it's daily. And after decades of exposure, those small amounts can add up. But acrylamide isn't the only hidden threat in our kitchens. Here's something that might shock you. Some of the biggest risks come from the foods we trust the most. There are several other foods that might surprise you. Foods that many of my patients consider normal, even healthy parts of their diet. Let's start with processed meats. It's not just junk food. It's even the cold cuts we serve at family lunches. I'm talking about hot dogs, sausages, bacon, and deli meats. Foods that have been preserved through smoking, curing, or adding chemicals like nitrates. The World Health Organization has classified processed meats as a Group 1 carcinogen. That's the same category as tobacco. They're strongly linked to colorectal cancer, and emerging research suggests connections to stomach and even breast cancer. The culprits are compounds called nitrosamines and polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons that form during processing. But look at what is even more shocking. It's not just processed meats. Grill marks like crispy edges might look delicious, but they come at a cost. When you grill, barbecue, or pan fry any meat at high temperatures, you create two types of cancer-causing compounds: heterocyclic amines, or HCAs, and those polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons I mentioned. Now, let's talk about something that hits close to home for many of you: fried foods. Still reusing oil to save a little money? Here's the problem. When oil is heated repeatedly, it breaks down and forms additional carcinogenic compounds. This is why I tell my patients to be cautious about frequent consumption of certain fast foods or street snacks. Another one that surprises people is heavily salted and pickled foods. Salt doesn't just raise blood pressure, it can weaken your stomach's defenses. I'm not talking about lightly pickled cucumbers, but foods with heavy brine, certain preserved fish, or extremely salty snacks. Excess salt damages the stomach lining over time, making it more susceptible to cancer-causing agents. And finally, ultra-processed foods with artificial additives. Bright labels, bold flavors, hidden chemicals. Some artificial colorings, preservatives, and sweeteners in packaged snacks and drinks have shown cancer-promoting effects in animal studies. While the human evidence is still developing, those foods offer little nutritional value anyway. Now, I know what you're thinking. Doctor, is anything safe to eat? Let me reassure you. Yes, but we must adapt with age. As we age, our bodies become less efficient at processing these toxins, and decades of exposure matter more than ever. It's not just about what you eat now, it's about what you've eaten for the past 30 years. Even more real concern is that cancer risk is often about cumulative exposure. Those burnt toast breakfasts, weekend barbecues, and processed lunch meats have been adding up for decades. Your body has been dealing with these compounds for years, and now it's less equipped to handle them. The good news is, small changes can make a huge difference. And you can start today, without giving up everything you love. First, with starchy foods, cook them to a golden yellow, not dark brown. When you make toast, stop before it gets dark. With oven chips or roasted potatoes, aim for golden, not crispy brown. If something does get burnt, don't just scrape it off. That's not enough. The acrylamide has already formed throughout the food. For meats, choose gentler cooking methods. Instead of grilling or frying at high heat, try poaching, steaming, or baking at lower temperatures. If you do grill, keep the heat moderate and avoid those charred edges. Marinating meat before cooking can actually reduce the formation of harmful compounds. When frying, use fresh oil and don't overheat it. If you see smoke, the oil is too hot. Never reuse oil that's been heated multiple times. I know it seems wasteful, but your health is worth more than saving a few dollars on cooking oil. Choose fresher and lightly pickled vegetables over heavily salted or preserved foods. Your taste buds will adjust, and you'll actually start to appreciate the natural flavors more. And finally, read labels. The longer the ingredient list, the more processed the food. Choose whole, minimally processed foods whenever possible. Your body knows how to handle real food. It's the artificial additives and preservatives that cause problems. You don't have to be perfect, just consistent. Even reducing your exposure by 50% can significantly lower your cancer risk. Start with 1 or 2 changes and build from there. The bottom line is, I've seen how devastating this disease can be, not just for patients, but for entire families. But I've also seen something incredible, how small, consistent changes can dramatically reduce your risk. You don't have to throw out everything in your kitchen tonight. You don't need to become a nutrition expert or give up food you enjoy. But now you have the knowledge that most people don't have. Toast your bread lightly. Skip the burnt chips. Choose gentler cooking methods for your meat. Use fresh oil when frying. Read those labels. These aren't massive lifestyle overhauls. They're simple tweaks that can make a real difference in your long-term cancer risk. The patients I see who age most successfully aren't the ones who made perfect choices their whole lives. They're the ones who learned new information and acted on it. That's what you're doing right now by watching this video. Please share this video with someone who cares about their health, maybe a family member or a friend or your spouse.